Hi. Alright, next game, or next series of games that we're going to be looking at is Major versus Oz. Without further ado, spawning in the top right position, we have Barcode. Spawning in the top left, I hope I didn't say left already. Spawning in the top left position, we have Windy. I'm very curious to see what servers these are played on. Like, if they're both from America, do they play on NA, or is it all requirement for Europe servers, whether you're European or American or Korean? I really have no idea. So we'll just assume for these videos that they know what server they're playing on ahead of time and that they have prepared in advance. So, on this map, Frost, there are two things that Terrans are capable of doing that aren't available on other maps. One is to get a CC first because it can go unscouted for a long period of time. Another is to go gas first and do very, very aggressive medevac. Drop with a Widow Mine and 2 Hellions and 6 Marines. Well, you medevac drop the Widow Mine and Marines, you run the Hellions up. And you can do a lot of damage by cutting them off between the main and natural when they expand. So, Windy, Major, this is one of the builds he really likes to do. We've seen it a lot in his previous games. Like, he's one of the few Terran players that still does this build, and he does it a lot too. Like, I also remember him doing it a bunch of times on his stream when he was streaming his ladder sessions on North America. Wow, so bad, the RG. But yeah, so this should not be totally unexpected by Oz. He should have a good idea that this is a potential build that Major might do, especially on a 4-player map where it's harder to scout. I think that's one of the reasons why Oz sent out a probe so fast, because normally you wouldn't send a probe out that fast, but this probe is going to be able to scout. Oh, he does a cross spot as well. That's weird. But yeah, so this probe's going to be able to scout. Doesn't scout anything, it just scouts the starting position, but he sees 2 Marines, so right off the bat, that's not a Reaper, and that's not a fast command center. Well, it could be with a 15 reactor, or no, 15 gas and a reactor after 2 Marines expands. That's what it could look like, and it also could be a 1-1-1 expand that Major is doing right now. Unfortunately, Oz has no idea. And that's one of the advantages of doing a build like this on a 4-player map. I think Major is one of the better foreign Terrans by far because the planning and preparation that goes into a series for him, or just like his gameplay, it's just very solid, and he doesn't really make a lot of big mistakes per se, like big decision-making mistakes. I think he plays most similarly to a Korean. And he does copy all of his builds from Koreans because he has said in his own words that he is stupid. In other words, his decision making isn't the best, so he supplements that in by copying exactly what the Koreans do. So he essentially uses only Korean decision making as well. So right off the bat, we got some aggression going on, and this was not scouted by the probe. Major's doing a good job going right in between the watchtower and that little path on the minimap. But with these 2 Hellions out like that, and the Zealot seeing it, Oz knows what's up. So what he should do immediately, or what he should have done, he should have evacuated all his probes in his natural. He definitely shouldn't have lost that sentry. So already, he made a Zealot, he made a Sentry, and then he made a Stalker. That's kind of a weird thing. The best way to deal with this is to make a Zealot, and then a Stalker, and then a Stalker, and then a Stalker. Stalkers are the best units at dealing with this. And I guess, based on what's happening to Oz, he just didn't prepare for this. He had no idea this was coming, I guess, or he chose not to practice, so he might not have even watched Major's VODs, but he really should have moved his probes into the main and defended just one area. At least he got the Stalkers out fast, but this is still doing a huge amount of damage. And it's forcing... Oh, the medevac got picked off. That was some sloppy play by Major, because if that medevac lives, it makes his medevac push with stim and bio a lot stronger by like one whole medevac, so it's like 25 to 30% depending on if there's one or two medevacs out. Or no, it's 50 or 33%, I mean. So actually this didn't really go that badly for... Oh, that was good for Major. And now this as well. Oz had in mind that since Major lost his medevac, he lost a bunch of units, that he would be able to break this, but unfortunately, he's not able to. If he targeted fired the bunker down, he would have been, or the SCV building the bunker, he would have had a lot better time dealing with this, but he chose not to instead. And he also lost a bunch more probes in his natural. So Major now has his natural up. Oz has basically only one mining base saturated, or one full base saturation still. So that did enough damage to put Major in a very, very good spot. And Oz is just, I think he's actually going to go all in with this because he's building a warp prism as well. So he wants to try to be as aggressive as possible because Major does not have stim out. And he knows that it's going to be delayed based on the build that Major is doing and the observer in his main base as well. Unfortunately, Major has a very, very large advantage, and Oz has no economy to follow this up without making it an all-in. I think he's actually going to make it an all-in because he's just adding more gateways. He doesn't have any tech coming in, and he's not building probes. Yeah, he's not building probes either. So he's definitely all in on this. If he gets some force fields off on the natural ramp, he'll be in a good position. We'll see if he does that. The lag. Get the force field. Oh! Wow. That was really bad. That was really bad. He saw the Widow Mine burrowing, but he didn't split up his sentries or put them into the warp prism. So, GG. That was all in by Oz. He didn't really have a good response to it, which tells us that he wasn't very active in preparing for possible things that Major might have done. Like, he didn't look at Major's previous videos, or I mean games that were broadcasted. He didn't look at Major's stream. He probably just laddered a lot. Now we have game 2 going on Habitation Station. I would say that compared to Frost, Habitation Station is a much more friendly map for Terran. Frost isn't that bad of a map for Terran either, compared to other maps in the map pool, but Habitation Station is definitely a map that is good for Terran, unless the Protoss abuses the gold base. Then it becomes a whole different story. Like we saw, I think it was either Hero or SOS and IEM, they did a proxy oracle, then expanded to the gold base, which is completely safe after you do a proxy oracle, and then do a 2-base void ray all in, which was very, very, very powerful. Because of the gold minerals, you can afford more gateways and constant void ray production as well. So, that probe's out on the map really fast. Looks like it's going to be a 10 gate coming up. I did do a VOD on how to defend versus a 10 gate. Wow, this Argy guy, he should leave. It's horrible. Yes, please leave. Please leave. Please leave. Out, please. Just if the player, like, this may be bad-mannered, but there's money on the line, and it's actually reasonable for the players to do stuff like that. Because you don't want to like lose a game just because and lose like $500 or however much they're playing for, just because he didn't, or just because one random observer was lagging. Alright, so Major's up against a 10 gate for sure, and I did do a video on how to deal with this. So we'll see exactly what Major does in order to successfully defend versus this. And if he's going to do a Reaper expand or a gasless expand, because doing a gasless expand on this map is actually pretty alright because of the... First of all, it's not a good map for Reapers, it's not Reaper friendly, and it's also, since it's not Reaper friendly, it's more Marine friendly, so you can really, it's pretty safe to do a gasless expand, and as we can see, that's what Major is doing right here. And this 10 gate going down. Make sure. Oh! He scouts it. So that's the first thing he scouts. He doesn't even go straight to Oz's base. He just scouted the most common proxy 10 gate location. I mean, the next. He probably would have scouted the gold base or the regular third base afterwards if he didn't see anything there, or he might have just gone straight to the main base. So now Major's gonna. He walls off. I still think a bunker is better because the stalkers can just chip away at the depots a lot easier without a bunker. And then the racks just gets in the way too, and the stalkers can chip away at the racks as well. Possibly damage marines coming out. But Major does do the correct move, and it is to wall off so that zealots don't attack the marines. You basically want to stay alive until you have a big enough marine count so that you can deal with the mothership core and stalkers. And you want to target down the mothership core. That is the most important priority. Let me just... Alright, good. I wasn't recording just my face the whole time. Just checking to make sure production is running smoothly. I am a one-man team after all. So, oh, there we go. There's the bunker. It might be coming a bit late though. Let's see if it finishes up in time. If it doesn't, if he's able to snipe that SCV, he's not gonna target the SCV. He's not gonna target. Okay, now he targets it, but it's way too late. Like, he could have gotten that SCV and started chipping away at the bunker, and then brought in the mothership core, and it would have been a much more powerful attack. But Oz's micro was just, it was meh. It wasn't that special. This mothership core is gonna do an okay amount of damage though, because Major, like, this is what happens when a 10 gate occurs, because you get the cybernetics core out really fast, and you kind of skimp on marines. What Major is doing though is he's making a factory because he knows that the Protoss tech is going to be kind of delayed in favor of these units. That mothership core, yep, should start targeting other units. And really, nope, don't go away, don't go away. He could have killed 3 marines died to a mothership core, so that was again bad on Oz's part. And that was all the marines in the natural, and Oz did see a reactor on the barracks, so he really should have been doing a lot more heavy pressure, but he didn't, which is kind of unfortunate for him because he could have maximized the damage potential, but instead he's just transitioning into the next stage of the game. And this is one of the downfalls to having a wall off here, but it does... Ooh, what are you doing, Major? What are you doing, Major? This is suicide. I guess he wants the widow mine down so he can secure his natural, but that was very, very costly for Major. And if he was attacking with his mothership core more and focus firing the stalkers a bit better, he would have been able to clean this entire force up, or at least snipe the widow mine, or do more damage. There's always a possibility to do more damage, and only top level players. I think Parting's the only name that comes to mind right now. He does a fantastic job at maximizing the amount of damage that his units can get done. So, if we take a look, it looks like Major has kind of stabilized. He's transitioning into a 1-1-1 expand. And Oz is doing a good job. He saw the factories, so he's getting observers out ASAP. Ooh, Major's gonna get the cybernetics core, but that doesn't even matter because warp gates are already finished, I believe. So it's just gonna cost him some minerals, but he should be fine. What I don't understand is why Oz decided to get a starport after a robotics facility. That's kind of inefficient because if it was Oz's plan to get a starport the entire time, he could have just made a forge and then got a couple cannons, and that way his starport would have been out a lot faster because he wouldn't have to use so much gas to make an observer in a robotics facility. But he got a robotics facility and then a starport, or a stargate I should say. Oh my gosh. There's no reaction time from Oz. He loses. Ooh. Ooh. He lost about 6 workers there, and that should not have happened if Oz had a better reaction time. Of course, Major did do a two-pronged attack, so it kind of forced Oz's attention away, but Oz should still have seen it on the minimap and been able to react in time to only lose a total of 2 probes if he wanted to set the mines off so that he could continue mining. So that was way too much damage done. That could have been prevented by Oz if he had better awareness of his units. So it's just like these players are still playing a very close game and a very high-leveled game, but just these little things add up. That's what separates a top-level player like Flash, in my opinion, even though he doesn't have that many results in Heart of the Swarm, from just a good player like Major and Oz. It's just very small little things. Let's see. Where's that Phoenix? Okay, yeah, that's a real Phoenix. So, Oz made a Stargate, and then he made 1 Phoenix. I really have to question that decision by him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh! That's still really, really bad damage done. I mean, that should not have happened. Oz kind of misunderestimated the amount of damage that Widow Mine would soak up, and as a result, he lost a bunch more probes. So make sure these Widow Mine shots have killed like at least 10 workers, and with only 2 Widow Mines killing that many workers, Major is basically gonna win this game. And this game could have gone longer if Oz reacted more efficiently to the Widow Mines, which unfortunately not everyone can do. It's something that takes practice and a lot of games, and maybe Oz was practicing more against 3 Raxes on ladder or something like that. There's a bunch of different scenarios and variations that have to be taken into account. This, I just gotta laugh. Like, this 1 Phoenix and the Stargate, I don't even know what to say. Like, he didn't even make an Oracle, which would seem normal. And he's not even going Phoenix Colossi, he just got that 1 Phoenix, and then yeah, and now it's just chasing around Medvacs. It's such a his Oz's build has no synergy whatsoever. Oh my gosh, and this Doom drop. This is pretty much game right now. Checkmate, and GG gets called. So, a much shorter series for us to take a look at. Whoops. A much shorter series for us to take a look at. Oz made some kind of questionable choices in his gameplay, and as a result, Major's ever so solid defense was able to break Oz because Oz didn't have the most efficient responses to Major's gameplay. So, still a good game. Good games between 2 very high level players. Not the top level players. Maybe in their respective regions, but definitely not in the world would they be considered at the very top. So yeah, so that's that. Hopefully we'll be able to find a better game next series. And by better, I don't mean like higher skill level. I just mean more action-packed. Maybe go all 3 games so we get more games as well. So we'll see. Stay tuned for the next